In the story of Othello, Iago is a mastermind of deception and manipulation. Today, we're going to be exploring how Iago uses the 7 powers of leadership to manipulate the trust and the reputation of the main cast. Here, Iago can be portrayed as a spider, and some of the people Iago has manipulated are flies. In this video, I'm going to show you how Iago strategically ensnares the major characters of Othello into his web. The first person Iago draws into his web is Emilia. The power that Iago has over Emilia is coercive power. Coercive power is the power that comes from force, threats, or control. The root of Iago's control over Emilia lies in a patriarchal social structure during this time. A patriarchy is a social system where men hold primary power and dominant roles in leadership, authority, privilege, and property control. Iago is able to make Emilia get him the handkerchief by repeatedly asking her to get it for him, and because Emilia knows that Iago holds power over her, she is forced to comply. Expert power is the power one holds when they are considered an expert on a subject or matter, allowing them to be trusted when it comes to that subject. Iago uses his expert power to bring Cassio onto his web without lifting a single finger. Cassio sees Iago as an expert in military affairs and social navigation, giving Iago the perfect opportunity to strike after Cassio's drunken brawl. After Cassio fights Roderigo, he is stripped of his lieutenant rank by Othello, leaving him desperate to regain Othello's favor. Iago goes to Cassio playing the role of a wise friend and claims it would be better for him to speak to Desdemona rather than talking to Othello. And Cassio falls right into this trap and blindly trusted Iago and went to Desdemona, ultimately feeling jealousy and anger in Othello, leading to the complete destruction of Cassio's trust and reputation with Othello. The next unsuspecting victim of Iago's elaborate plan is Othello. Iago's weapon against Othello is informational power, the type of power that is held when someone knows information that someone else does not. Throughout the story of Othello, Iago comes to have plenty of information at his disposal, information that he uses against Othello. The first instance of Iago's informational misguidance is after the drunken brawl between Cassio and Roderigo. Iago tells Othello about how the fight between Cassio and Roderigo had started, but he left out the fact that he had nearly begged Cassio to drink with them, knowing that Cassio does not like drinking. In turn, Othello deranks Cassio as punishment, unaware of what had really happened. The next case in which Iago had used information against Othello was in Act 3. After Desdemona pleaded to Othello about Cassio, and Othello angrily left, Iago pled to Othello that Desdemona might be unfaithful. Othello, not knowing that Iago is the reason Cassio talked to Desdemona, was very angered and demanded proof from Iago that Desdemona is unfaithful. For the sake of time, I am only going to explain one more instance of Iago's informational manipulation. In Act 4, Iago and Othello listen in on Cassio talking to Brabantio, and Cassio gives her the handkerchief. Iago was already aware about Cassio and Brabantio's relationship, but Othello had not yet heard of Brabantio, and he was very angered to see Cassio use the handkerchief that he had given to Desdemona to wipe up his beard. The fourth victim of Iago's master plan of manipulation is Roderigo. Iago uses the power of reward against Roderigo, the power held over someone when you have something they want. It's not exactly a secret that Roderigo likes Desdemona, as he has outright stated it several times. Roderigo was the first person Iago was seen manipulating at the beginning of Othello. Iago uses his connections to Othello, Desdemona, etc. to convince Roderigo that he can get him with Desdemona on the condition that Roderigo helps him with something. The first time Iago used Roderigo was the drunken brawl. He convinced Roderigo to bother Cassio when he was drunk, to the point where Cassio would attack him. The second time Iago manipulated Roderigo into helping him against Cassio was during Act 4, when Roderigo died fighting Cassio, never to get with Desdemona, and his last breath was spent cursing Iago. I know Roderigo wasn't a good person, but kind of feel bad for him. Iago's next victim was Desdemona, in which he held connection power of, the power held when someone has connections that they can use against someone. Iago uses connections against Desdemona several times, with the first being through Cassio and Othello. Iago sent Cassio to Desdemona, telling him that it would be best if he went to her to get help to get back onto Othello's good side. Iago then used the meeting between Cassio and Desdemona to spark the idea of an affair between them into Othello's mind. After that, Iago used his connection to Emilia, who spends a lot of time with Desdemona, to get the handkerchief that Othello had given to her. He then went on to plant the handkerchief in Cassio's house and used that as evidence to prove that Desdemona and Cassio had an affair. The final target of Iago's crusade is Montano. Referent power, the power that comes from leadership and or respect, is used against Montano. Iago uses this power during and before the drunken brawl. First, Iago built trust between him and Montano by presenting himself as an honest person and built a relationship between him and Montano through respect and friendship. After the drunken brawl, now that Montano trusts Iago, Iago talks to him about Cassio and explains to him that Cassio has a drinking problem. Iago also uses Montano as a witness, and he backs him up when Othello questions them. As some of you may have noticed, I only went over 6 of the 7 different types of powers. Nobody make a 6-7 joke. The power that I chose not to use was legitimate power. While I do think that Iago holds legitimate power over some people, being a general, I don't think that there are any instances of him actually using legitimate power over the main cast. Othello and Cassio are both above him in rank, and he is never seen commanding Montano to do anything. Desdemona, Emilia, and Roderigo don't work with Iago, so he can't really hold a higher position than them to kind of use that power against them.
Hi, I'm Bodhi, and I am extremely bored. Ethan brought me to his house just to have me watch him do this stupid video, so I decided that I was going to do the outro. These are just some of the instances of Iago using his 7 powers over the cast of Othello. There are many more ways Iago has manipulated people. In conclusion, Iago is a mastermind of manipulation, and he plays the cast of Othello like they are puppets, and he is their puppet master.
Iago uses the power of reward against Roderigo. The power that you hold, the power that you have power, the power that gives you the power. Okay? The next unsuspecting victim of Iago's elaborate plan is Othello. Iago loves Othello. He likes Othello so much that he broke up with Emilia just to get with him. Iago sent Cassio to Desdemona. In this video, guys, we're going to be seeing and exploring how Iago's low-key gets a 40 bomb in Fortnite, Victory Royale, crown win, and shits on everyone.